Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, YouTube. We are back with another video, and today's video will be on finance, and it's sort of a continuation from the previous video that I released a few days ago. If you haven't checked that one out, go check it out. It talks about traditional versus Roth IRAs. And more importantly, it talks about why you should be in the market and why you should be investing in the market. And you should be putting the maximum dollars you can in the market, because last year was a great year. And we understand that there will be a downturn. We understand that. And one thing I said I want you guys to take away from that video is, even in the downturn, that's still a good thing, because you will be accumulating shares. And the shares are the things that drive the balance of the account. Share prices go up, share prices go down. You purchase shares when they are down, that's good. And as the share price goes up, then the value of your account goes up. So don't be discouraged when the market goes down. One thing I liked about the last video is when I interjected that second video towards the end, and I ran across the concept that I was talking about. It's called dollar cost averaging. And I was able to find it, and I want to interject that to you guys. And that's good for me and you. It's good for me because it kind of confirms that what I'm thinking and what I'm talking about, it's out there, right? It can be found in black and white. And the same thing for you. It sort of gives a second witness to what I'm giving to you. So you just don't take what I'm saying and say, oh, he's just, saying stuff or whatever. So I was glad for that. Another thing I want to say is, man, I don't like talking. I don't like doing a lot of talking. I put it like that. And this is a lot of talking. That last video I think was 30 minutes, and that doesn't even include like the extra stuff that I edited out. So it was actually quite longer. But you know what? I'm gonna get out of my comfort zone and do these videos, and I'm gonna try to do it with enthusiasm, which is easy because I like talking about finance. And today I'm going to try to knock out, or tonight I want to try to knock out 2 videos. The next video is going to be even better than these 2, especially at this time of year. That's a little teaser, so stay tuned. Okay, so today, why we are backing up? Well, we're backing up because there needs to be some preparation, some order, some steps ordered to get you to a place to where you're investing, and you're investing with peace of mind. And the way you do that is through the baby steps. I'm presenting the baby steps to you because that is what I learned, that is what I teach, and that of course comes from Dave Ramsey and Financial Peace University. So we're going to go over the baby steps and make sure we get those in line. The investment part is actually baby step number 4. So we're going to focus on 2, 3, and 4. All of the baby steps, they kind of prepare you for the next step. So 2, 3, and 4 are very important. And we're going to look at them right now. So let's go. This is the title of the presentation. Don't jump in the waters unprepared, right? Preparation. You're not ready to invest. Not yet. But you're going to get there. So here are the baby steps laid out. There's 7 of them. The first one is $1,000 in a baby emergency fund. And that's just what it's for, emergencies. So the idea is to get you started in your journey of paying off debt, which is the next step. This is preparing you for the next step. You need to have some money set aside. So when life happens, and it will, it's not a matter of if, but when life happens, you'll be able to take funds from emergency fund, use those instead of getting you off track of paying off your debt, right? It's very simple. All of this stuff is simple, but it's hard to do because we have to condition ourselves, and we have to have the will to change our mindset and look at money and debt and finances in a different way. So $1,000 emergency fund, that will take care of most of your car deductibles. It could take care of your home deductible if you have $1,000 deductible, or if you have 1% and your home is insured for $100,000, that's $1,000. So that would take care of most situations. And one thing you may find is that as you taking a little bit of sacrifice and put some money aside, $1,000, and something comes up, you may find that it's not an emergency, or you don't look at it as an emergency like you may have in the past. Because you put $1,000 away and you have to go take $600 out of that account, you're gonna feel it. That's gonna hurt. And then you'll sit back and say, man, I don't really think this is an emergency. I can prolong this situation, or I can take care of this situation over, 3, 4 weeks or whatever it takes, and handle it that way instead of dipping into my emergency fund. Right? It's an achievement, it's an accomplishment to put $1,000 away for most of us. And so doing that, you don't want to just zap the account out, and then you have to put the money back, of course. So get that $1,000 baby emergency fund established, and then we can move on to the next step. We have been prepped and prepared for the next step, which is to pay off all debt using the debt snowball. What's the debt snowball? Well, it is taking your debts and you list them from the smallest balance to the biggest balance. And you take your payment from that first one, whichever one is the smallest, and you knock it out. Now, let's say it's $100 and your minimum payment is $25. Well, you don't want to just pay the minimum payment. You want to scratch together whatever you can and just knock it out, kill it. So what that does is it starts a momentum building. It starts a snowball, because what you're going to do is on that second debt, you're going to take your payment from the first one, add it to the second one. And so now you have two payments attacking the second debt, and you just follow it up. The third one, you're taking your first and second payment, add it to the third to attack the third debt. So that's why it's called a debt snowball. As more money you add to it, the bigger the snowball gets and the faster you get at paying off your debt. Let's look at an example of that. So here's a hypothetical person's debt here listed, as you can see, from smallest to largest. And here's the monthly payment on those. And here's the interest rate, which we know doesn't matter, right? Some advisors would say pay off the largest interest rate first, right? And that may be mathematically correct, because it's going to save you money over the long run. But what happens when you pay off a small debt is that you get an emotional trigger that says, I've accomplished something, I've achieved something. And it gets you fired up to attack the next, and fired up to attack the next. That's why you don't want to mess around with the minimum payments. You want to attack it, get rid of it. All right, so how it works. You had the Amazon account, say you knocked it out in 1 month, right? It was $200 balance. You knocked it out in 1 month. Well, you take this time frame is not going to align with the monthly payment and balance, because, again, you attacked it. You didn't just use the minimum payment. So you take the $25 that you had from the first one, add it to the $37 for the Citibank example, and let's say you knock that out in 2 months, right? Then you move to the basics. You had the 43 that the Macy's is, the 25 that you had from Amazon, and the 37 that you had from Citibank, and you knock that out in 4 months, and so on and so on, until finally you get to this last one, which is a car payment, and you add all those before these, the 165 previously, to your monthly payment, and you knock that out and say 16 months. And so you're debt free, except for your home, and you've freed $715 a month in this example, right? So now what's the next step? You're out of debt. You have your $1,000 emergency fund. You're out of debt. What's the next step? Let's go back to the baby steps. The next step is to fully fund your emergency fund, which is 3 to 6 months of expenses. Okay, so your monthly expenses, if you total everything up, you're going to look at that and say, I need 3 to 6 months. This is for more severe emergencies, right? Things like loss of a job, right? So that's going to float the home. This emergency fund is going to float the expenses of the home while you're looking for a job. Now, bear in mind, let's say you had $3,000 monthly expenses. You've just freed up $715. So now instead of having $3,000, you're down to $2,300 of monthly expenses. So that's a weight that's lifted off your shoulders if something happens, if an emergency arises. So you take that 715. So now your monthly expenses, it's easier to build 3 to 6 months without any debt, right? Because what used to be 3,000 is now 2,300. So instead of taking, say, 6, 7, 8 months to build it up to this amount, it may take you only 4 or 5, right? So you freed up $715. You created your emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses. So now let's look towards number 4, which is 15% of your income in retirement. So this is the step of where the previous video comes in. You've done all the 1 through 3, and it sets you up for number 4. Now let's look and see how that looks. So we're going to do 15% of our income in retirement. I don't really know how Dave came up with the 15% number, but I just rolled with it, right? So what we're going to do first we're going to contribute to all matching accounts, or a matching account from our employer. Because that's we always say that's like having free money. That's like 100% return on your investment. So if it's 3%, if you have to put in 3%, your employer matches 3%. If you have to put in 3% to get 3% match, then you put in the 3%. If you have to put in 5% to get a 3% match, you put in 5%, and so on. If you have to put in whatever the match is, you do those things to get the match. So anything over that, you go outside of your employer to an outside agency to establish a Roth IRA. And I explained to you in the previous video what Roth IRAs are and how they are different from traditional IRAs or traditional 401ks or traditional TSPs, because they both have Roth and traditional. So that's what you're going to do. Now, let's go look and see how we direct those funds. And it's very simple, right? If you are single and your employer matches 5%, you elect the 5%, you get your employer match, which gives you 10%, and then you contribute an additional 5%. Look at that, that's a misspell, right? Not misspell, but wrong word. Contribute an additional 5% to a Roth IRA from an outside firm to give you a total of 15%. Next example, say you're married with one income and the employer matches 5%. Well, you elect 5%, you get the 5% employer match, and then you contribute an additional 3% to a Roth IRA for yourself, or an additional 2%, I should say, and an additional 2% to a Roth IRA for your spouse. That can be split however you like, however you desire. You can do 1% to you and 4% to your spouse, I recommend. Or you can do 2.5 and 2.5 and split it down the middle. You can do it that way. Just make it, the idea is to make it 15% total of your income. Next example, say you're married and both of you have an income with employer matches of 3%. So just following the previous example, same thing. You elect 3%, you get 3% match for a total of 6%. Then you go outside, get 9%, get a Roth IRA and contribute 9% for 15%. Same with your spouse. And if your spouse had a different match, that person would do the match, that goes with their account. Now, let's say you are blessed with having too much money to put in a Roth account, which is possible because Roth does have a maximum that you can contribute a year to the account. Well, what you would do is go back to your employer account and bring it up to the 15%. So I didn't put an example here, but remember, you only had 3% in with your employer, or 6% total. And let's say you went out and you could only do 3%, which was the max with the Roth IRA. Well, you go back to your employer and bring it up to the 15% that way. So just make sure you get to the 50%. And if you are no longer able to contribute to Roth and you still haven't hit your 15% mark, then you can go to a traditional IRA and bring it up that way. So that is the retirement part of the baby steps. That's how it's handled. So going back to the baby steps, one thing you see and you find with the baby steps is they are simple, but they're hard to do because we're not conditioned to think this way or to take on a task with laser focus, which is what you need. And that's what this does. Instead of trying to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, all at the same time, it focuses you on one task. And that focus is what drives you to the next task. And it's also the order of it, like I said, prepares you for the next step. For instance, say you're paying off debt and something happens where you need money. Well, and you don't have the emergency fund built up. Well, you're going to stop paying off your debt and maybe even go into more debt because you have to acquire some cash to take care of the situation you have. Okay. Say you're here and you're contributing 15% of income in retirement and you haven't done 1, 2, and 3 at all. Well, what's going to happen is you're going to stop your retirement. And I got to mention something about that too. You're going to stop your retirement or take out some money from the retirement to take care of the emergency that you have. And the one thing I would say about the retirement account is if you are already contributing to your retirement account, you should stop your retirement contributing until you get out of debt and your emergency fund. Now, a lot of financial advisors would definitely not agree with that. But remember, once you're out of debt, you freed up funds. You freed up, in this example, $700. So it would take a lot less time to replenish your retirement account. You can make it up in a little time because you freed up your monthly expenses. So let's go back and finish up the baby steps. So after you finish 2, 3, and 4, now it's time to fund the kids' college. And later on, we'll be looking at these baby steps frequently. So, and number 6 is pay off the home early. And finally, number 7 is be wealthy and give like no one else. So, if in my case, I would be at number 5 and number 6. That's where I'm at in the baby steps. So that is it for this video. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys learned something from it. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, share. Did I say that already? Comment, yeah. The reason that me and I guess all the other YouTubers say that is because YouTube, has certain thresholds for us to meet before we become monetized. And that's the goal, to get monetized. I have to have 1,000 subscribers, I know, and I have to have so many viewed hours or whatever they call it. So the goal is to get monetized. And what that does is actually keep me doing videos because time is money. So if I'm doing videos constantly and I'm not getting a return, right? return on my investment, then I have to stop and consider something else or find something else to do with my time that will give me a return on investment. So that's all. That's why. And also, being monetized also would allow me to bring you more content, because another threshold we have, I don't think you have to be monetized for it, but I can do live, live streams, which would be cool to do. Interaction, real time interaction, that would be cool. So just keep that in mind. So try to get the word out. Another thing is, the more views and stuff I have, then the more my videos will be placed in the right side for recommended videos, that kind of thing. Anyway, thanks guys, and we will see you on the next one.